Hey, hello everybody. This is the Philosopher's Channel, and I'm happy to have you. And let's start with our reading. So, the first poem that I want to introduce you to is The Human Seasons. This this poem was written by John Keats, and John Keats is actually one of my favorite poets because even if it was not really regarded um, as a poet from its siblings and from its the people of its time. He is actually one of the few poets that actually introduced the aspect of um, emotions and nature and so we'll start with the human seasons. 4 seasons fill the measure of the year. There are 4 seasons in the mind of man. He has his lusty spring, when fancy clear takes in all beauty with an easy span. He has his summer, when luxuriously spring's honeyed cud of youthful thought he loves to ruminate, and by such dreaming high is nearest unto heaven, quite coves his soul in its autumn, when his wings he furleth close, contented so to look on mists in idleness, to let fair things pass by unheeded as a free-shouldered book. He has his winter too of pale misfeature, or else he would forego his mortal nature. So here we are presented with the 4 seasons: spring, summer, autumn, and winter. And for each season, we have um, we have a different vision of the season. Like for spring, spring takes in all beauty with an easy span. So it's like when the flowers sprout and the plant and the animals go out of the caves after winter. So we actually have a rebirth, and that's why beauty is it takes all beauty. Then summer. Okay, summer is the season that succeeds spring. Most of the time is the season of holidays and the season where people actually enjoy their time with their families and with their and it's usually a season of harvest. And spring's honeyed cud of youthful thought he loves to ruminate, and by such dreaming high is nearest unto heaven. Quiet coves, quiet coves. And we have autumn, and autumn usually is the season of fall. So it's the season where the leaves start to fall, where the animals start um, to prepare the caves to sleep during the winter. And yeah, it's all a motion of so all the animals are to work to prepare for the winter, and is far left close, contented so to look on mists in idleness. Then we have the mist, which is actually a beautiful expression that we can usually a beautiful moment that we have in autumn especially in England and in Europe. There is a place in Italy that is um, that actually during autumn is full of mist, and you walk around the streets without knowing where you're going because it's so um, it's so foggy. Like there is this fog and this mist that you don't know where you're going, and you lose your way very easily. And it's beautiful. He has his winter too of pale misfeature, or else he would forego his mortal nature. And usually winter is the season. Yes, in the Christian religion, it's considered as the coming of Jesus Christ, but it's also a season where um, it was considered the wrath of the gods, like the season where um, there was most fear because most of the times a lot of people died in winter because especially the poor people. Um, okay. Then we have another poem by John Keats, which is um, on first looking into Chapman's Homer. Okay, much have I travelled in the realms of gold, and many goodly states and kingdoms seen. Round many western islands have I been, which bards in fealty to Apollo hold. Of one wide expanse had I been told, that deep-browed Homer ruled as his Damascus. Yet did I never breathe its pure serene, till I heard Chapman speak out loud and bold. Then felt I like some watcher of the skies, when a new planet swims into his ken, or like stout Cortez, when his eagle eyes is stared at the Pacific, and always men looked at each other with a wild surmise, silent upon a peak in Darien. So we are introduced to very famous characters, historical figures like Cortés, which was an explorer that explored the Pacific route and um, is a Spanish explorer. Uh, and in that period, the Spanish, the Portuguese, the Italian were all people that were all there were some um, explorers that actually reinvented some routes and found new territories, and as and it can be related to Omer that translated that actually has written one of the first um, prosaic and texts that were um, initially um, transmitted by oration and um, by the voice, and so it was a discovery also that like the discovery that Cortés made with the Pacific map and the Pacific route. Then we can go on to another poet. Well, there are a lot of poets that are really interesting in the English language, but um, maybe one of the best poets that I actually really like is Wordsworth. And yeah, I actually read a book about Wordsworth. It's a biography that he has composed himself, and it's written all in the poem. It's written in like a poem, and it's a very long poem on its life on the country hills where he lived when he was young. And so it's really an interesting perspective on the Romanticism and on the Romantics movement in England. And he is one of the most prominent poets. So upon Westminster Bridge, earth has not anything to show more fair. Dull would he be of soul, who could pass by. A sight so touching in its majesty, the city now doth like a garment wear. The beauty of the morning, silent, bare, ships, towers, domes, theatres, and temples lie, open unto the fields and to the sky. All bright and glittering in the smokeless air, never did sun more beautifully steep. In its first splendor, valley, rock, or hill, never saw I, never felt a calm so deep. The river glideth at his own sweet will. Dear God, the very houses seem asleep, and all that mighty heart is lying still. So this is one of the places more celebrated in London that are very that when you go to London you have to go to this place, which is Westminster Bridge. And during Wordsworth period, there was a different kind of London. There was different, and it's really nice to have this poem when you understand how was the Victorian era and how the Romantics lived. So it was during the first Industrial Revolution, and as you can see, one of the most beautiful words in or phrases in this poem are, like, I'm going to say two. So the first one is the beauty of the morning. Silent, bare, ships, towers, domes, theaters, and temples lie open unto the fields and to the sky. And then the other phrase is, in his first splendor, valley, rock, or hill, never saw I, never felt a calm so deep. So, yes. And then there is this beautiful poem by William Blake, that is The Tiger. And I'm going to give you a brief introduction to William Blake. And William Blake is a poet that comes before Wordsworth. He lived during the Augustan age. Yes, that is before the Victorian era, and it was in the end of the 18th century, so 1700s, and the beginning of the 19th century. And he has written a collection of poems that is called Songs of Experience and Songs of Innocence. I've actually been introduced to this author, and all the authors that I've narrated to you today during high school. And so I'm going to narrate it for, this should be my third time, yes. Okay, the tiger. Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forests of the night, what immortal hand or high could frame thy fearful symmetry? In what distant deeps or skies burned the fire of thine eyes? On what wings dare ye aspire? What the hand dare seize the fire? And what shoulder and what art could twist the sinews of thy art? And when thy art began to beat, what dread hand forged thy dread feet? What the hammer, what the chain, in what furnace was thy brain? What the anvil, what dread grasp, dare its deadly terrors clasp? When the stars threw down their spears, and watered heaven with their tears, did he smile his work to see? Did he who made the lamb make thee? Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forests of the night, what immortal and or high did there frame thy fearful symmetry? This is a beautiful, beautiful poem. And the tiger is, as you can see, the tiger, and it's like described as like something, a work of art, something like an art, a weapon or something made by a blacksmith. So it's like metal, and then we see the eyes of the tiger, which are raging, and the fact that it's a carnivore, so it runs and gets the prey, and so there is this song of experience, and that is transmitted to us by William Blake. So, guys, for today I've finished, and I'm really glad that you stayed with me till the end. And this is just a brief introduction of what I'm going to do next, and I'm really I'm really happy that I'm really happy that you actually appreciate my videos. So if you'd like to see more from me, just click the subscription link below, and all the best. Bye, guys.